Welcome back. Now, so far we have covered basics of JavaScript. We have seen the basics of DOM as well. Now, I think it's time for us to put our skills to test. Now, this section is going to be a project based. Now, we're going to be creating this analog clock in this section of the course. This is just a small project to test our skills. Now, so far, whatever we've covered, we should be able to put all those skills into the test by creating this analog clock watch. We'll be using CSS and JavaScript to create this analog clock watch. And later on, you can use this as a widget to put that into your website. Alright guys, so I'm in a web storm, or we are in a PHP storm actually. So here we have an empty project. I'm going to create 3 files. Let's go and create our index.html file. So to say index.html file, we go right click and then create a style.css file, right click and create a JavaScript file. Right, so we got 3 files here. Now we're gonna work on index.html file. For the clock, we will be using SVG. I have already created a code for SVG using Photoshop, but we try to type whatever we can, but there are some code that I would be copying and pasting from the snippet. So first of all, we change the title and we can say analog clock. Right, and in the body, first of all, let's go and create a div. And we say class, we can just say main container, right? And after that, we will create another div. So we just say class, and I'm gonna call it clock box, right? After that, inside that, we're gonna start working on our SVG. So first of all, let's define SVG tag, and then we give an ID of clock, and then we use XMLNS is equal to, we can say it's an SVG here, and we type here 2000. All right, then we define a width of that would be 600, and for height of that 600. Then we use an attribute viewbox 0,0, and then we have 600. So basically it's like a values for that. So starting from X, Y, Z, it's a coordinate system. After that, inside that, we are going to create a G element, and we can say ID, it's a face ID. And inside that, first of all, we need to create a circle, and we clock circle should be circle. Just let's name it circle. And then after that, we have a CX property, which we will set to 300, and CY property to 300. And then we have a radius by defining R, and that we should set 253.9. Well, that's an SVG I created using Photoshop. Now I'm gonna just create another circle, and then we should class, and then here we say mid circle, right? CX would be, let's just say 300, CY would be 300 as well, and then we have a radius. Radius we can give it about 15, or we can just say, yeah, 15. Let's try 15 first, right? And now I'm going to, we can use the HTML5 syntax here. Now let's just open this up in Chrome browser as well, so we could just have a look at it. So far we have this circle here in our HTML file, right? Now there's a few code that I'm gonna copy and paste. I have this bot line, which I'm actually going to just paste it here instead of typing that, and you will get this code, right? So you will get this code in form, so don't worry about it. This is just an SVG created in Photoshop, right? So I'll save it and refresh the page. This is what we have so far. Now we create a face, and then we create a few other things here now. So the next we need an hour, minute, and second. So here we say G, and I'll give an ID of hour. And inside that, first of all, let's create a path here. And then we have a class, and then just name it hour arm, right? And we have this D attribute, which I'm gonna copy and paste from the snippet. Or maybe I can just copy and paste the whole code, which I have generated by Photoshop. Now basically you can go and read about SVG, so I'll just open it up and show you in the Mozilla Developer Network. So if we go MDN SVG tutorial, we go here because we're not covering SVG here. And here we have an SVG, we go documentation, so SVG element reference. Now here we created a circle. If I go circle, and then inside a circle we have a CX property, CY property, and attributes and radius. So this is what I use. Now they created this view box and then they defined the way they did it. So that's what I used. So this is in a graphical SVG. You can create pretty good graphics using SVG. So if you want to learn about it, here you can go and basically learn about SVGs. It's a really long topic, but yeah, but maybe we will cover SVGs later in the course as well. If I do, then you will find a section down below in the course. So hopefully I'll do it. Alright, so let's go back to our coding. Now so far we have this. I'm going to save the file and refresh the page. Now so far we have this black circle, right? Now we're going to go to CSS file. And here I'm actually going to open that vertically so I could look at what I am targeting. So first of all, let's just target the main container. So the main container, we can set display to flex, and we can set padding to, let's just say 1 EM. And then we can say height, I want to give about, let's just say 60 VH, right? And then we have justify content. We can say please do it center, and then align items. We can say that would be, let's just say in the middle. There's no property for that. For now, just leave it. And then we have, let's just say background color, and I will give a dark later. I'm gonna save the file and just refresh it. Now we're not able to see the changes. The reason why we haven't attached the CSS file. So here in the head, I have attached this link rel style CSS, and now if I save the file and refresh the browser, and I should be able to see this background color appearing there. Alright, so now we want to target this clock box. So the clock box property, we will type here dot clock box, and inside the clock box I want to target this clock. So I'll go and add an ID of clock, and then simply we want to say here the width should be 100%. That's pretty much it is we want to set here, so 100%. Save the file and let's go down and let's refresh the browser, and the width is 100% now within that clock box, right? So after that, let's give some properties to the circle. So we have the class here, circle, right? And we define this circle class here. So let's go and do something with it. So circle. And then here, first of all, let's just fill to none. That is why we're just getting this black color. I want to give a stroke to red. I want to give stroke, and there's a property here, stroke a meter limit. So we go dash meter limit, and we can give this to 10. All right. And last property, we want to give a stroke width as well. Stroke width, and we can give it 9. All right. I'm going to refresh the page, and here we see the red line appearing, right? So still we have some problems within that, but what we can do here, first property we can add to show you guys that this is basically causing an issue because we have a mid circle fill, sizing box fill to black. So we have the class here, sizing box. This is the one, and this is the one here, and this is the one here. For every circle we have that. So we can just define that first. So we can say dot sizing box, and we can simply say fill none. I'm gonna save it, and let's refresh the page, and there we go. We don't see that black color now. Now I'm gonna quickly write the CSS. So here we have some other properties, other classes to target. The first of all, we go our marks, and for that we need to type fill to none. We have a stroke, we can set that to, let's just say white. We have a stroke width, and we can set that to 9. And we have a stroke dash meter limit, we can set that to 10. Right, so our marks done. Next property we want to target is dot our arm. Right, for that we say fill to none, and we have a stroke, and we can give a color to, let's just say blue. Blue is fine. And then stroke dot width, and then we have we can give 17 here. Stroke dash meter limit, we can give 10. Right, next property we want to target is dot minute arm, and we have the same kind of properties here. So we have a fill set to none, and then we have stroke, and stroke would be, let's just say we can give it a green color. We can make it RGB, so we can give red, blue, and green color. So stroke width, we can give it, let's just say 11, and we have a stroke meter limit to 10. Next property we are going to target is minute. We need to have second arm, and we have a fill property to none, and then we have a stroke, and we can set that to yellow. It's in the middle. So stroke width, and we can give it 4, stroke, and then we can get 10. All right. So here, after that, we want to write some CSS about our transition as well, which we can come back later and we do it. When we refresh the page, and we can see our clock is ready just by writing this CSS. How cool is that? So from the next video, we are going to start working on our logic to make this clock work. Welcome back. Now it's time for us to make this clock work. In this video, we're going to start writing a JavaScript. So close CSS file. I'm going to go to script.js file, and we'll just make it bigger. Now, first of all, we want to have some variable which will hold the 3 things. So if we open the index.html file, and here we want to grab an hour, we want to grab a minute, and we want to grab a second, right? So we want these elements, so we can grab them by using document.querySelector. We go back to script.js file, and I'll create a constant, which basically they're not going to change. So we'll just say our hand is equal to document.querySelector, and here I will type ID hour. Right, I'm gonna go double check that. So we have an ID for hour. Yep, that's right. This is what I'm grabbing. minute and second, right? So we want to grab all of those. So we'll go to the next line and we'll just say make another constant, and I'll say minute hand, right? Just make it capital to make it constant. So minute hand is equal to document.query selector, and we'll grab with the ID. We'll just say minute. Let's double check the spelling. Yeah, M-I-N-U-T-E. So M-I-N-U-T-E. Then we want to have a constant. So grab the second. So it says second hand. And then document.query selector. And we can say here seconds. Let's double check that as well. So here we have a second, not seconds. Alright, so let's change this to second. Alright, so now we've created and we access hours, minute, and seconds. Now, to get the current date and time, we need to create a global date object. So we do that by defining var, we name it date, new date object. Right, so that will give us a current date and time. Now we want to grab a current hour, a minute, and a second. So how do we do that? So we'll do that by creating a variable for hour is equal to date dot get hours. Right, let minutes is equal to date dot get minutes. I want to change the variable name to properly within there. Right, so let seconds is equal to date dot get seconds. Right, now to test it out, we can just console log these values first of all. So we can say console log, and I'm gonna say hour, and we just say space concatenated with hour, whatever is in our variable. Here we have an hour variable. Now this, you see this red line, it's basically saying that convert the JS version to ECMAScript 6, because we're using ECMAScript 6, so that's why it's saying that, okay, if you want to use ECMAScript 6, I'm gonna cause an error. So this is just the PHP Storm thing. Alright, so here we will say seconds, minutes, and then concatenated whatever is in the minutes, right? And then we have another seconds. I'm gonna make a space here, right? And then here we'll concatenate it with whatever is in the seconds. All right, I'm just going to get rid of that project window. All right, so this is what we have so far, right? Here we have an error. We didn't define console.log. Now we should be able to see that, so I'm gonna save this file, refresh the browser, and open the console. Right, so for now we don't see that here. The reason why is because we haven't actually attached the script file. So here if I go, I'll say script source is script.js, and that's it. I'm gonna refresh the page, and now we get hour, minute, and seconds. All right, now one more thing here I want to mention here. Now when this page get rendered, this HTML file gets rendered, so first of all we render the style sheet, and then we render the script file. Now whatever logic we'll type it in, it will not work because we are actually executing the code before we render our page. So there's two ways to fix that. We just leave that as it is for now, but when we have an error, then I'll show you what I mean. We go back to script.js file, and here we can see we can get a current time with hours, minutes, and seconds. As you can see, it's increasing as I'm refreshing the page. Now we can actually create a function, and we will call that function a run clock. All right, but first we need to have 3 more variables, which will have our position for hours, we have a position for minutes, we have a position for seconds, right, in our actual clock. And then we'll create a function which will help us to rotate these according to the position we have. All right, so let's carry on. We type let, and I will say our position is equal to, and here we have a little bit of math because this is just a basic math. Once I write the code, you will be able to understand what's happening here. It's just a basic math. So we grab hour, whatever the value of hour in there, then we will multiply that by 360 and we divide by 12. Then we will concatenate it with minutes, and then we will multiply minutes by 360 divided by 60, and then we divide that by 12. Now this math is a little bit confusing, but it's just a simple math, and this is not a math class, so you should be able to figure out what's happening here. So we have a minute position. Oops, I need to use the camel case. Position is equal to, we have minutes, we can multiply that by 360 and then divide that by 60, right? Then we're going to concatenate these with seconds, and then we use the same logic by using 360 divided by 60 and then divided by 60, right? Then we have let second position, and here I want to say minute position, not minutes position. Okay, and then here on the second position we have seconds, and then we multiply that by 360 and divide by 60. So that's the math is going to involve. I'll come back to it and try to explain the basic math as well. And we've done that. Now let's create a function which will help us to run the clock. All right, so that's the tricky part here. This is a cool part actually. We name it run the clock. All right, cool name, right? Inside that function, and one more thing, I haven't actually mentioned that you can create functions using arrow syntax. We will have a separate section for learning ECMAScript 6, but so far we can see we are using just simple function declaration. All right, so here we have our position. We grab that from there is equal to, we say our position plus 3 divided by 360, right? We grab a minute position, we set that equal to minute position, and then we'll say 6 divided by 60. Then we have a second position is equal to second position plus 6. Right, this is just the math we're doing here. Now it comes to the JavaScript. Now here, what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to make it a little bit expandable because we will be able to see that easily. Now let's use these constants now, okay? Now these are the constants we're grabbing by using a query selector. Now we're getting the values from there. I'm going to change the style property of these elements to make them rotate. So here we will type a code for that. So first of all, let's grab our hand dot its style property, right? I'm going to grab the style property of that, and then we will add a transform property, and we set that equal to, and inside our double quotation we type rotate property. I want to type here, and then we want to concatenate it with our position. So whatever the our position is there, that should be set to this CSS property. Now after that we will go and type dig and close that, and that's pretty much it is. right? Now here I want to grab a minute hand and dot style property dot transform is equal to, we're going to write the same code, so I'll just say rotate it and concatenate it with minute position plus degree, right? Oops, we need to get inside there, otherwise it will cause a problem. And then we have a second hand dot its style property dot transform property. All right, we want to transform that, rotate it plus second position, right? And we can say DEG, and that's it, right? Now we have successfully created the function as well. I'm just going to get rid of this console. We save the file and refresh the browser, and we can see we're not actually making our clock run at the moment. We need to change the property on every second, right? We need to make sure that we change that. We call this function every second. For that, we are going to create a function or a variable. We can say, not a function, basically, we're going to use the set interval function, which is built in JavaScript, and we can set that in a variable as well. So later on, if we want to change this, we can do that. So let's say interval is equal to set interval, and inside that we call this function run the clock function on every second. So it's a millisecond, so 1000 milliseconds is equal to seconds, so we're typing the value in a millisecond. So now if I refresh the page, we can see it doesn't really work. Okay, well, we gotta figure out what is the problem here. Now, as I mentioned just before, that when you type it in your script file, you link that in a head section, that's get rendered first and then the rest of the HTML page. So when we render our JavaScript script file, it doesn't actually know what we're talking about. What is an hour? What is a minute? What is a second? It doesn't know about this. So there's two ways that we can fix it. Now the old ways to fix it is by putting all your script file just above the body element tag. So where we have a ending body element tag, we just put the script file here. So if I save the file, I refresh the browser, and we can see something just happened. Now we just wait for a second, and I want to show you that something should be moving. Now it actually, I'm going to expand the browser and let's see what's happening here. Now it works, it just disappeared. Now we want to have, as you can see now, there we go. So we see that something is moving right now, but we actually have to transform it, and we're going to make sure that it moves according to this circle. So we still have to put the values in the CSS. So the values we want to put for the CSS, we want to target over hours, minutes, and seconds. So in index.html file, we have hours, minutes, and seconds. Right, first target that, then I'll show you the second way, the new way of fixing this script. Right, so we go back to CSS file, and here we'll target hour, comma. So we can target multiple CSS properties by typing the comma. So we have like hour, minutes with ID, comma, seconds, and then here we will type a property name transform origin. So when transform the origin, I want to give it 300 pixels by 300 pixels. Now I'll save this file, and here we go back to index.html. So remember that we are using 300 CX and 300 CY for all of them. So that's why we're giving this property as well. So we want to make sure it goes inside the 300 pixel origin. The next property we want to give it's going to be a little bit of like the animation. So let's try this first. If I just refresh the browser And now we can see our clock is working perfectly fine, and it's rotating inside 300 pixel region. And this code basically is calling this function and updating its rotate value, CSS value. To just double check that, I'm going to expand this. I'm going to open the web developer tool in Chrome, and here we go to element. It's actually giving us some issues. We're going to go to element, and here what I want to show you is, if I go to and grab this element, we go in style, we want to grab this here. Okay, now this is an SVG. If I open the SVG, you see every second the transform is actually happening. So we're calling this interval function, and it's basically just transforming this every second, and it's changing its value according to the math we have defined here. So this is the math we define, and it's nothing more, just changing its CSS property every second. That makes our clock work. And we have some background issue here. So if I just go and change this to, let's just say 100 VH, and I'll save it, refresh the browser, and now we should be able to see that it's fixed. Right now we have seen this hour, minute, and second is just getting its style property changed. That's pretty much it is. Now to make it a little bit more fancier, we can go to style.css file, and down here I can add this transition property. So transition, I have done the wrong spelling. Yep, transition, and here we can say we want to have a transform. So we type transform, and we can say every point a second. Okay, and then we can say ease in and ease out. That's the animation we want to define. I'm going to save the file and refresh the browser, and at this time we will have this animation happening. So it's transforming. Now it's more smoother. So every half second it will just go jump to the next one. And this is about it. This is our working analog clock, just using JavaScript and CSS. And JavaScript basically just rotating and updating its value every second, and that's pretty much it is, right? And here we have a second, and then when it becomes an hour, and it will just change its value as well. So as you can see, it's 3:39 at the moment here in Australia, Melbourne. So here we have the green thing moving as well. So I'll just wait a second, and let's see if we grab a minute here, and does our green clock moves. It's a green needle, we can call it. Yeah, so as you can see, it's moving slowly when we get to this minute. There we go, guys, there we go, we're getting our green perfectly aligned. Right, so our analog clock is working perfectly fine.